Architects, the classic symptoms of a broken spirit. How is it, and more importantly, in my opinion, are the critiques of the album fair? I'm Jordan Needham, this is J-Ham Entertainment, let's get into this. Okay, so first, I want to make sure everyone knows where my perspective is coming from. So I am a digital artist, I'm a 3D artist, and I do a lot of work in 3D software, Photoshop, Adobe, stuff like that. So I might be a little biased, but I think my perspective is definitely worth hearing. And ultimately, it's not the album itself that made me feel compelled to make a review. It's actually the critiques and the feedback on the album that makes me feel like I, as an artist, should say something. So real quick, let's get into what I think of the album, because I know some people really clicked on it for that for some reason. I don't know why you want to know exactly what I think, but anyways, to be upfront honest, it's not exactly the type of genre that I like listening to. It's more like an industrial hard rock sort of thing. I'm more into, like, when I'm listening to heavier music, I'm more into like the fast, hard-hitting kind of stuff. Bad Omens, even their new album, it's not super heavy, but it does feel more upbeat, and it's a little more technical than just like swing beats and stuff. So my personal preference, however, I did enjoy some of the songs. I think Be Very Afraid was cool, and Living Is Killing Us, Burn Down My House, and overall there's a couple of things that stood out to me in a good way. That the producing was really well. I think overall the album was executed very well too, and most importantly to me, it feels like a very genuine expression. It feels like a very genuine art piece from the band. Like, this is definitely what they feel. This is the music they felt compelled to make, and despite all the controversy they knew they'd stir up, they still put it out there. And that to me it's very encouraging, it's very inspiring, and as an artist myself, that's like, I respect and admire the hell out of that, because ultimately that is why somebody becomes an artist, is they want to express themselves in whatever way, and they just want to make a living doing that. Downsides of the album, I do feel like at some points it does get a little boring to me. It's a little, like, especially the drums, that's really what pulls me away out of some of these songs, is the 1-2s, the swing beats, not my thing. The sort of arena core sound, it's just boring to me. But I do definitely think that some of these songs are actually pretty good, and it's just not my personal taste. Like, I can see a lot of people loving this, and I've already seen a lot of people do, and it also doesn't come off to me as something bad, like at all. And that's kind of why I'm here, is that, you know, I will speak up when I think something is bad. If I were to hear an album like that, I would say that. And that's just out of honesty and transparency, but also respect for the artist in a way. Like, if, you know, I don't want to be a yes man to everything. I don't want to say everything is great. But, I mean, here, it's just, I think, a personal preference that most people are struggling to deal with here. Or maybe in a less lighthearted tone, there are plenty of people out there that are just very salty and butthurt that there's not 17 new breakdowns on the album that sound like, you know, 2015, 2016 metalcore, and so no matter how good the album is executed, they're just gonna say it's absolute trash. Let's get into most people's critiques and feedback on the album. First off, I have seen a lot of support on the album, so I don't want to frame it as if everybody hates the album. However, most of the critiques I've seen of the album, I think, are unfair, and here's why. So I am not opposed in any way to just critiquing people's art and saying what you think about it. However, I do think there's a difference between a fair critique and just a completely useless, like, you're in the wrong spot critique, which, what I mean by that is, let's take the most famous critique of this album so far. They sold out. I made a whole episode about this about a year and a half ago, and I actually did talk about Architects a little bit. People were saying they sold out because of the song Animals, and to me, it's just, like, do you have any other criteria for they sold out? Or is it literally just, oh, they're making slightly less heavy, less technical music that more people will like? Is that it? because the term sellout implies some disingenuous feel behind it. Like the artists behind it don't really care about the art. They're just making music for your ear holes. They want to appeal to more people. They want more people to listen to it. They want to sell out every arena they can come in proximity with. So that to me is what a sellout is. Now, if you make music which happens to appeal to more people and happens to be less technical, less heavy than your older stuff, but it's genuine and it's what you wanted to make and you did a good job, how is that selling out? That's just making a different style of music that a lot of people don't want to listen to, and more people do want to listen to. So if you don't like the album because it's a different sound, if that's your critique, then don't listen to the album. Go listen to something else and don't shit on everyone who likes the album. And now a lot of people will just be like, oh, well, you know, you just praise everything. You're just so soft. You don't want to hear critique. It's like, no, it's not about that. You know, there's some stuff that is actually bad music.
Fat little piggy with his head on the block.
But this is not that. This is just a different sound, my guy. That's my opinion. So, is the album the most technical thing? Is it the greatest album I've ever heard? Is it even one of my favorite albums of the year? Probably not. It's not what I really like listening to most of the time. And I listen to all different types of music. I listen to Alt-Z, EDM, some heavier like hardcore, all kinds of alternative music as well. But this is more like industrial hard rock. Maybe some would say arenacore. It's not exactly what I love listening to, but I think that they did a very good job on the album. I think overall it's a solid vibe. Like, it's clear that, you know, this is a matured band and they set out to make an album that expresses a particular message and does it in a sort of uniform way that the whole album kind of fits well together. It's concise. There's a lot of things that this band did in this album that most bands in the history of ever could never do. And I think that most people that don't like the album are just not a fan of this genre of music, which is different than the actual band being bad. On a final note, what really gets to me is people saying like, oh, this is just sad. This is just sad. It's pathetic. And wow, Architects died with Tom. It's like, bro, if you were to say something like that, you have to have a lot, like a ton of merit behind it. Like, it has to be like, this band is putting out pathetic dog shit music. But they're not at all. These songs are concise. They're very solid songs. And that's not even to address the ethical dilemma here that is just insane. Like, bro, are you 12 years old? Do you not know that there's people behind this? Are you just like that dehumanizing, that disrespectful? Come on, bro. So I filmed this about 3 times. I am a bit scattered on this whole thing just because it's so easy for me to get very emotional about this, because as an artist, I just absolutely hate it when people feel like they are entitled to say what the band should create. And that's what gets to me. It's not about whether the art was good or not. Like, they won't sit here and say, well, this is a good hard rock album. No, instead, it's a terrible metalcore album. Okay, dude, then don't listen to it. I don't like most horror movies, so I don't watch them. Okay, I'm Jordan Needham. This has been JHam Entertainment. If you want to keep up with all the stuff that I create, you can follow me on jham.3d on Instagram and jham3d on YouTube. As always, I will catch you guys next time.